NFL Draft. The Jacksonville Jaguars select
Trophy Chase, Arizona.
with the second pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. The Detroit Lions select
Cody Smith, Houston, Texas. The fantasy draft room is now on the clock.
Welcome to the fantasy draft room. I am Chase, and with me as always, my man Cody. What do we got in store for the people today?
Another back and forth mock where we're making every single pick going off of a NFL mock. This time we've got Jordan Reid of ESPN. He released a 7-round mock today. So we're going to be taking that mock, giving ourselves a rookie mock to do with the draft capital. No trades in this one, I don't believe, from Jordan Reid, but puts out all 7 rounds. If you want to go check that out, definitely make sure to go do that over on ESPN Plus is where I think you have to go to get that one past the first round. Maybe that one might be free, but hey, 7-round mocks, we got to turn them into back and forth mocks on the show.
Absolutely. I think that's the most important practice that you can do with these 7-round NFL mocks. Gives you an idea of where these landing spots could be in actual scenarios, even though they may not be accurate, but you have to be prepared for all the scenarios that could arise. And so this is a great exercise for us to kind of walk through. So without further ado, do you want to kick things off, or you want me to go first?
No, I'll take the 101 on this one. I know we've kind of maybe started projecting things out, and maybe I don't want the 101, but it's okay. I'm still going to take the 101. You got the 1-on-1 on the last video with Shane P. Hollum's mock that should have dropped earlier this week as you're seeing this. So no, I'm going to take the 101 here. Again, we're just going to kind of tell you what the draft capital is, where the landing spot is as we go. If y'all want to check out the full board, make sure to go over to ESPN and check out Jordan Reid's mock over there. But going through the first couple of picks, the really difference makers, the high-end picks, you got the quarterbacks, Bryce Young going to the Texans, Anthony Richardson to the Colts, CJ Stroud to the Panthers at the 101 overall, Will Levis to the Raiders, and then my 101, because I'm looking at this as team agnostic. I'm just taking the running back, man. I'm just taking my Bijan Robinson. Know it's super flex. I can go with the quarterback if I want, but not knowing any team or anything like that, I'm going to take my Bijan Robinson share, going 21st overall to the Los Angeles Chargers. Looks like Jordan Reid thinks there's this possibility that Austin Eckler might not be back with the Chargers, and if that's the case and they draft Bijan in the first, man, I'm all about that landing spot in draft capital here at the 21st overall.
People would lose their minds, and yeah, I would have zero issues. This landing spot is prime. Talk about an offense that uses the running back effectively, and this would signify Eckler no longer being with the team, most likely. Either way, Bijan, you don't draft a first-round running back and not use them. So yeah, all for Bijan. You mentioned CJ Stroud going to the Carolina Panthers with the first overall pick. I've been pretty standard with that, and I'm going to keep it rolling. I'm going to take CJ Stroud, safest one of the quarterbacks in my opinion. Still has some decent upside as well. But yeah, give me the guy that the NFL, you have a team that trades up for to grab. That's who I'm rolling with.
Yeah, he's got a lot of the value insulation in that 101, and we do see he adds a couple of wide receivers here that we might get to later on in this draft as well. So he does get the weapons around him. They seem to have brought in at least a serviceable cast of characters between DJ Chark, Adam Thielen, and I guess they still got Terrace Marshall there as well. And so
Chenault, we still got some belief in
Shy Smith.
Yeah, there we go. Tommy Trimble.
Oh yeah. Ian Thomas. Who was the tight end that they brought in? Austin. Did they get Hooper?
Maybe they did. Blanking off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, they got one of the tight ends. No, they got Hurst. Hurst. It's Hooper who went to Vegas. Hooper went to Vegas. But like CJ Stroud, but I like one of the other quarterbacks better, and that is still going to be Anthony Richardson with the upside shot. If I am taking the swing, I'll be taking Anthony Richardson. If he goes 4 here to the Indianapolis Colts, got Shane Steichen coming in to develop him, mold him into that next Jalen Hurts if we want to try to project that. And so I'll take the guy with the highest upside of anybody in this class, even higher than Bijan. I'll take Anthony Richardson.
That leaves me with, Bryce Young going to Houston at the 2 slot, Will Levis at at 7, going to the Las Vegas Raiders. So you got a couple of guys here that against one that has at least a little more weapons. You'll see later on here, Bryce Young does get some weapons here in the draft as well. They actually do end up taking JSN at 12. So Houston does pair Bryce Young with JSN. So JSN might be a pick here that we kind of have on the radar, but I'm going to be taking Bryce Young going to Houston. Safest quarterback, and what it seems like there are some concerns with him, but in the end, I will take him over Levis, no doubt.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got to be taken over Levis. I mean, him going to the Las Vegas Raiders here, he's not going to be starting. I mean, they've got Jimmy G, they've got a quarterback there, and the more and more that I think about this, it's been pretty standard for us that we have Bijan and the 4 quarterbacks here at the first 5 picks. I'm going to shake that one up. Truthfully, you put Will Levis there with, the concerns, the flaws in his game that he does have with the completion percentage, everything like that, his bad senior year. He's going to be playing behind Jimmy G, and I just don't like that situation, especially not for year 1. I'm not willing to put a top 5 pick into Will Levis if that is the case. So I'm going to go with the wide receiver 1 off the board. I'm going to go with JSN going to the Houston Texans, pairing up with Bryce Young.
Love it. Yeah, I think that's one of those landing spots where I would definitely consider it, and it's the combo landing spot with Will Levis, right? He's going to be sitting for at least a year based on the contract that Jimmy G gave him, or that the Raiders gave Jimmy G, and it could be longer. Like really, it could be Jimmy G's job going into year 2, or an open competition. Just lots of unknown, and I don't know that I really want to wait for Will Levis. So now looking at the 106, we do have some other notable names that came off the board. Quentin Johnston went to the Baltimore Ravens at the first round, 22nd overall. Jordan Addison, Minnesota Vikings, 23 overall. Zay Flowers went to the New York Giants, 25 overall. And then we do finally see in the second round, Jahmyr Gibbs going to the Miami Dolphins. And you know what? I'm going to continue with the shakeup because that landing spot for me is just too good to pass up. I'm going to take Jahmyr Gibbs at the 106 as the lead back in that Miami backfield.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to follow suit, and I think it's probably the right process play. You're just waiting on the quarterback, and I'm not really too enthralled with having that flat of an asset. Jahmyr Gibbs landing in one of the premier spots that we had picked out. Now they did bring everybody back in the backfield, but what does it really matter? I mean, if they do invest a second round draft capital pick into Jahmyr Gibbs, I can't imagine that they're going to roll out like a 3-headed monster and split it 30-30-30 of Gibbs, Mostert, and Jeff Wilson. Like that's one where you think talent should just win out. And I do believe Jahmyr Gibbs is talented, although not as talented as some other people think. I do believe he's a very good running back. And so I don't have any problem with you passing up on a Will Levis again, but I am going to stop the slide for TFDR drafts normally. I think this is where I would have to still take Will Levis. I mean, Jimmy G, if you really look at that contract, it is really only a 1-year deal. And let's say he starts to falter halfway through year 1. Who's to say that it couldn't be Will Levis that steps in halfway through the year in a very tough division? If they're looking at the future, they can get out of the contract of Jimmy G, and Will Levis could easily step in year 1 still.
Yeah, I feel like that's where the slide has to end. And we talk about it all the time with quarterbacks specifically, where if they don't play, it's actually better for their long-term value. Like if Will Levis doesn't play for a year, everyone still has the thought process that he went 7th overall to the Raiders, and they're just giving him a year to sit and grow, versus him going out there year 1 and struggling. And everyone's like, oh no, this is why we didn't want Will Levis in the first place. He can't throw the ball. All the concerns that everyone, brings up, you see struggles that immediately diminishes the value of that player. So I think that might actually be good. Again, for the slide, at least at that point, I'm totally good with. Now we do get into some either sticky landing spots. Baltimore with Quentin Johnston, I know that they did bring in Monken, so it's going to be a new offensive scheme, but you already have Bateman, you already have Andrews. We don't really know what Lamar's doing there, so there are question marks. Jordan Addison going into Minnesota, theoretically a good spot for him. Do like that. Giants taking Zay Flowers, I do like that for him as well. There is a running back here that he went in the 3rd round, and Zach Charbonnet, you've been really high on. We both really like Zach Charbonnet. He went to the Dallas Cowboys in the 3rd round to replace Zeke Elliott. And I have zero doubt in my mind that he is going to get work right away. Not to mention the fact that Pollard is coming off of his injury, his ankle injury. I would have to take Zach Charbonnet, even though he's in the 3rd round. Taking him over a 1st-round wide receiver, probably not the best process, but that landing spot is just so perfect. I'm willing to take the reach there on Zach Charbonnet.
Yep, and again, this is why we were saying, do I really want the 101? Because again, I don't get to pick Zach Charbonnet. It just seems how these boards always shake out that you're the one who gets my guy, but it's okay. I mean, there's enough Zach Charbonnet to go around right now as we're before drafts. Once we get to actual drafts, there's not enough Zach Charbonnet to go around. There's only one, and he's mine. So we'll figure that one out when the time comes. But I think the thing that was different in the last one that we did with, I think that was on the Shane P. Hollow mock, was I think Zach Charbonnet and Gibbs were both 2nd-round guys, and Zach Charbonnet was going to the Dallas Cowboys. And that's where we made the flip of actually putting Charbonnet over Gibbs. Yep. Going in the 3rd, I still love the landing spot being the next. Obviously, he's not Zeke because he's not being taken in as a 1st-round draft pick, right? But the Zeke role is exactly what you would think that a Zach Charbonnet could step into day one, especially with the Pollard injury as well, if that does linger into the season at all, and they have to rework him up to full speed. So Zach Charbonnet, absolutely love the talent, love the player, love the pick. But I'm going to go back to the wide receiver room in the 1st round because we still do have 3 guys here that got the 1st-round capital. And I just have to decide which I like more, the landing spot or the talent. Because truthfully, Jordan Addison to the Minnesota Vikings is the one that I really like the most.
Yeah. What are you going to do, man? Like this is, I'll give you a minute here to think about it, because in all honesty, these are the tough questions that are going to happen. Like, this is going to happen in the NFL draft. Like, these situations are going to arise where you're going to be choosing between what is the better talent in Quentin Johnston and the higher upside, but not necessarily the best situation. So you have 2 other guys like Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison going to perceive better slots, and still have opportunity to get on the field and get touches. It's a tough decision to make.
As of today, with all the information that I have as it currently stands, I have questions still about the offense in Baltimore, and the Giants have a bunch of small kind of slot wide receivers. Now, I know Zay isn't exactly that, and he can work downfield, but he's still undersized as a wide receiver as well. I'm going to take the guy that I think complements himself into the offense the best, the highest passing offense as well. I'm going to take Jordan Addison here, even though I don't like the talent as much maybe as some of these other 2, or it's probably even. I'm just going to take the Minnesota Vikings landing spot because I think that one's the best.
And while you're picking there, I'm just going to go ahead and take Quentin Johnston right after you, just because I do think that this Monken offense will throw a little bit more. And you want to talk about complementing. I think he will complement very well with what Rashad Bateman does, so he can play opposite side of Bateman. He's not going to occupy the same side of the field or part of the field as Mark Andrews. So I do think Quentin Johnston actually landing in Baltimore could be a good thing. When he was the coordinator in Tampa with Jameis Winston, they did throw the ball quite a bit. So I do think that there's going to be a more opportunities for these wide receivers to catch the ball. So I'm just going to bank on all those potential positives and the player that I think is the best talent in that 2nd tier of wide receivers. So QJ for me.
Yep, and I'm going to wrap it up here with the 11th one. All 3 of these guys going back to back to back. I'm going to take Zay Flowers going to the Giants. I think he's the best wide receiver there, and I think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 from day 1. So take him here at the 111 and not think too much about it.
So we've wrapped up some of these landing spots here. We've gotten all the first round wide receivers off the board, second round running back with Gibbs, third round running back with the prime landing spot with Zach Charbonnet. We have one player left that did get first round draft capital, and that is Michael Mayer. He did get first round draft capital. However, he went to the New Orleans Saints. And, we are doing all of these mocks with 1.75 tight end premium because we want the tight end to have some value. So he went 29 overall to the Saints. Then in the second round, we have Dalton Kincaid with his injury concerns going to the Las Vegas Raiders. We also have, just looking at tight ends, 45 overall. Packers took Darnell Washington. 54 overall. The Los Angeles Chargers took Luke Musgrave. We do have some second round wide receivers where the Panthers took Josh Downs out of North Carolina. Tennessee Titans took the Tennessee wide receiver, Jalen Hyatt. Woof. And then you have, to wrap up the second round, Detroit Lions took Hendon Hooker in the second round. And then we have Cincinnati taking the tight end out of Iowa, Sam Laporta. And to wrap things up, we have Marvin Mims getting drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in the second round. So that kind of gives you an idea of where these picks are. As I sit here and look at the back of the first round, like, I don't really love the landing spot for Jalen Hyatt as much as I do see some potential there. Dalton Kincaid, injury concerns really do worry me. I think I'm just going to go with my tight end one in the class, even though I love Luke Musgrave's landing spot going to the LA Chargers. I'm going to take Michael Mayer going to the New Orleans Saints. Just believe in the talent, believe in the player and his opportunity to get on the field. I know they signed Juwan Johnson. They've used two tight ends forever. And even though he can block, he will be on the field and he would be a good pass catching weapon for Derek Carr.
Yeah, definitely. And we've seen, Derek Carr have a strong rapport with his tight ends.
Yeah.
It's interesting that, truthfully, I think we're probably looking at this one more through a dynasty or through a fantasy aspect, or at least I am. Juwan Johnson getting re-signed there, in my mind, makes me want to say that he's going to be their tight end one. But Michael Mayer's still probably he's a better blocking tight end as well. I think Juwan Johnson was a convert tight end as well, so he's a little bit more undersized. Michael Mayer would be the more stereotypical, standard, true tight end for this New Orleans Saints team. So definitely can't fault you there. The tight end room is just so hit or miss, in my opinion, right now. Yeah. So I'm going to stay away from the tight end room. I think this is the highest that I've taken him since I did it back in October. I'm going to take the quarterback here, man. Like, you really want to tell me there's that much of a difference between Will Levis going to the Raiders and between Hendon Hooker going to the Lions and what we perceive? Like, this is where everybody wants, like, Anthony Richardson to go because they believe it's the most high leverage spot. I don't have, if it wasn't for the ACL injury, I wouldn't have Hooker too much separated from these guys. And you're putting him in one of the most high powered offenses in the league last year. I'm going to take Hendon Hooker here at the 201.
Yeah, I do get it. Detroit has definitely come out vocally and saying that that Goff is their guy, whatever that's worth. He's at least the quarterback for 2023, gives Hendon Hooker the opportunity to learn the system, sit behind Goff. I'm okay with that pick. I'm not going to rant and rave. I think it's a little early for my taste, but I do understand. I totally understand with what could be. The upside is definitely there for Hendon Hooker to give you a return on your investment. So I'm sitting here at the 2-2. I mentioned some of those wide receivers that went not necessarily ideal landing spots, tight ends. There's definitely some tight ends out there, but the rest of the running backs, like I'm looking at Jacksonville taking Tank Bigsby in the third round. The Washington Commanders took Tajay Spears. As much as I love Tajay Spears, that's just a packed backfield. And then you have San Francisco taking Devon Achane. So another third round running back.
Worst running back landing spot group outside of the top three, draft that I've seen outside of the top three from anyone. This is just gross all around.
It pains me. And this is the thing that we talked about if you listen to the Overreaction podcast, go check it out on Destination Devi Radio. We dropped it 2 Wednesdays ago. So I believe it was on the 22nd. So this is, so on the 22nd, and we talked about the 2023 class and the running backs and some of the concerns that we have with this class. And this is a prime example of things going wrong for these running backs. I don't even want to look at a 4th round running back at this point. So I am going to go back to the tight end well and take Luke Musgrave, tight end out of Oregon State, going to the Los Angeles Chargers. They do like, or they have used the tight end. Keenan Allen is towards the end of his career. So maybe 1 year out, you're going to see a opportunity for Luke Musgrave to really carve out a role in that offense.
Yeah, I think that's kind of almost a little bit of why I went the quarterback here, because I just didn't want to have to make the choice between the tight ends, and so I was gonna let you make a little bit of the choice for me here, and so I'm gonna go right back to the tight end as well, and then I'm gonna go with Dalton Kincaid going to the Raiders, actually the second highest tight end off the board, 38th overall to the Las Vegas Raiders in the second round.
Yeah, only concerns I have with Kincaid are the back issues. And I know everyone's like, oh, well, Gronkowski had back issues coming out of Arizona. And it's like, yeah, I get that. But like, let's not compare Dalton Kincaid
Gronk's
to
also not human.
You're right. I say, like, to the Hall of Famer that is Rob Gronkowski. He is just a freak. So let's not do that quite yet, even though I do like how Kincaid profiles. So totally good with the pick, just some injury concerns. You do leave me the pick that I'm excited about. Again, we had some second round wide receivers here with Josh Downs going to the Panthers and when Jalen Hyatt going to the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to take Josh Downs here going to the Panthers just because there is a little bit more wide openness with Thielen being there towards the end of his career, DJ Chark. You know, it seems like it is crowded in a sense, but at the same time, if he's good enough, he can carve out a role. And if they take him with top 50 capital, it feels like they're going to give him that opportunity to get targets early on in his career.
Yeah, Josh Downs would have been my next pick there. And so sad to see him go off the board right in front of me. And you leave me that I think this is where we really hit the gross range of this board. This is where I don't know exactly where I'm going to get. Like, I want to go running back. That's what I really want to do here. And then I'm looking, like you said, Bigsby to Jacksonville, Tajay to the Commanders, and A-Chain to the 49ers. None of them are getting any significant workload.
Yeah, man.
And so do I just keep hammering the premium of the tight ends? And I'm going to do it. Like, I'm just, because I don't want to go anywhere else yet. I'm going to go with Sam Laporta going to the Bengals.
Yeah. Another Raz freak, shout out Iowa Mike of, the tear down king himself from South Harmon. You might also know him from the 4D Chess podcast and their trade show that they do. He was saying he's going to run in the 4.5s. He did. He showed out. And it's an Iowa tight end who's getting second round draft capital going to a situation where he is basically competing with Irv Smith for a year. That's it. Should be a good opportunity for him. They don't necessarily run through the tight end, but he's good enough to get targets and to score some points. And if you're in a best ball leagues, zero issue with that, especially in the 1.75. So yeah, man, this is really tough. I'm just going to start going through some 4th rounders now that we are in the mid second, just so we have an idea of what is still available. As you mentioned, the running backs with Tank Bigsby going to Jacksonville in the 3rd, Tajay to Washington in the 3rd, and then A-Chain to the 49ers in the 3rd. We do have 4th round running backs. Roschon Johnson going to the Kansas City Chiefs, interestingly enough. That might get some people's excitement, some blood rushing. We have Kenny McIntosh going to the Baltimore Ravens in the 4th. Kendre Miller. Love him, but he went to the Cleveland Browns in the late 4th. And man, that just pains me.
Kareem Hunt replacement in the 4th round for Kendre. That's not a great one.
If they give him touches, like I don't mind it. If they use him like they did Kareem Hunt
like
of 2 years ago. Right. So we'll see. Like again, this is a bit early for me. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take Tank Bigsby to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I feel like I need to take a running back. We talk about these running backs so often that like it feels like I have to have them at this point. But he can fill in that Jermichael Hasty role, kind of the thunder to the lightning that is ETN. So even though he is still a smaller back, I still think that Tank can carve a roll out or get some touches there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think he can definitely have a role. It's just what is that role really worth? And do I want to
Yeah.
spend my mid second round pick on it? But I don't know what else you're spending a mid second round pick on here in this draft if this were to play out this way and feeling very good about it. I'm thinking about following you as well with a third round running back too. But I'm not even gonna do that. I'm actually gonna let you I'm gonna let you take the running backs in this one, man, because I just don't like the landing spots. I'm gonna go back up to the top of the board and I'm gonna take Jalen Hyatt because I think
Yeah.
he's a good wide receiver and he's going to the Tennessee Titans. I'm just gonna trust in the talent of the prospect here over the talent over the position because that's really the only reason he's fallen this far.
Yeah, I high would have been my next pick, and definitely the slide has gone too far. I think the only reason he is this low is because of the premium and with some of these landing spots. Otherwise, Hyatt would be, back in first, early second because of these landing spots type of pick. But love the pick there. Definitely was going to be mine. Took a chunk out of me right there. So, uh, you just look at it and it's just gross. It's just
Not good, man. Not
gross.
good at all.
I almost want to go back to the tight end well one more time, but I think
I think we have to go back there one more time before this round closes out. I just don't know where it's gonna be yet.
dude, it's gonna be right now. Like I'm looking
All
at him
right.
like I just can't take any of these third round running backs. I can't take really any of these fourth round running backs yet. Actually, I'm lying to you. I'm gonna do it.
Oh, switch me up.
I believe in the talent of Kendre Miller, and this is probably awful process play, but I'm going to take Kendre Miller going to the Cleveland Browns, just hoping that they give him 10 touches a game, like just hoping he gets out there. He's just too good to sit on the sideline. So it's probably not the right move, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, I think that one's a little bit of a reach for the talent. You're definitely playing the talent on Kendre Miller. I like it. Teammate gets our guys of Zach Charbonnet and Kendre Miller that some people might see as reaches just because of they're kind of our guys. They're our guys at the running back room. I don't think I would have taken him in the second round, to be honest, if it played out this way. But hey, you got the conviction in your guy, and like we've been saying, it's gross right now. I don't have any issues with you just taking a stab at a guy if it were to play out this way. So I'm gonna let you make another tough decision. I'm just gonna keep letting you take these running back decisions, man. And I'm gonna go with the tight end. I'm gonna take Darnell Washington off the board, and I'm gonna put the pressure back on you.
I should have taken Darnell Washington. I knew it. I knew you were going to do this to me. All right. This is what I get for taking Charbonnet in the last draft and just sniping you. So, all right. Well, we're back in the running back landscape. So, looking at these third round running backs that are still on the board, it's again, A-Chain going to San Francisco at the back of the third. You got Tajay Spears going to the Commanders, few picks ahead of him. That's it for the running backs. Fourth rounders, Roshan to Kansas City. I think I'm going to have to take Tajay Spears going to Washington. I think Gibson is a free agent after this year. We know, B-Rob is just a plotter. He's going to get touches there, but that's just his role. And I think if Tajay is as good as he's shown so far, he has the opportunity to get on the field early and take over some of those touches right away and take on a bigger role in the future. So Tajay Spears, running back, Tulane, going to the Commanders.
This one feels like it's just a 1 year early stab at replacing Antonio Gibson to me.
Yeah.
And so I think I don't know what the production is going to be year one. These running backs do always just seem to get playing time with the injuries. And so, yeah, I think once he gets his workload, I think he's going to ball out there. I think he can be a perfect Antonio Gibson replacement. I just don't know what that production is going to be year one, which is why he's going probably one of the latest that we've seen him go in any one of our mocks so far. And then there's two guys here that I'm between, two running backs, and it's the alma mater versus my bitter rival. And you know what? It's been a week of differences for me. I've had to go a little bit turncoat and won a Texas in a pipeline league, and so I'm just going to keep up with that. I'm going to go with Roshan Johnson going in the fourth round to the Kansas City Chiefs over my beloved Devon A-Chain. I'm just going to go full. I'm leaning fully into this. I don't like it at all. I'm disgusted with myself. I don't really even know what to say about it. I apologize to any Aggies who are out there watching. Just don't just know that it pains me, and I'm being held hostage by this league that I'm currently in right now. And so, yeah, if you want to take him and, wipe away some of my sins here at the 212, I would actually very much appreciate you taking Devon A-Chain and doing that for me.
Can I get a hook 'em horns from you?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Then I'm gonna let Devon A-Chain go into the third round of this draft. So we're not gonna keep that rolling. Just to kind of, we're only doing 2 rounds. We're 30 minutes in here. We're only gonna do 2 rounds of this, I believe.
Yep.
So just looking at what is in round 3 of this Jordan Reid mock of ESPN. Again, we'll put the link down below. We have Tennessee Titans taking Tucker Kraft, tight end out of South Dakota State, in the 3rd. Tyler Scott went to the Atlanta Falcons, the wide receiver out of Cincinnati. Patriots took Cedric Tillman, a wide receiver out of Tennessee. Rams took Rashee Rice out of SMU. None of them just excite me, right? Green Bay taking Jaden Reed out of Michigan State. Dolphins taking Luke Schoonmaker out of Michigan. We know how the Dolphins love using tight ends, right? So that doesn't feel good. Sneaky pick here, A.T. Perry out of Wake Forest, wide receiver, going to the Kansas City Chiefs in the 3rd. Maybe means something. Cleveland taking Trey Palmer out of Nebraska. That is a trap. As I'm a Nebraska fan. I love my Nebraska guys, but that's a trap.
Anthony Schwartz replacement.
Anthony Schwartz replacement. We all believed in him for a hot minute, and that disappeared real quick. So that's our 3rd round and what's left. And we do have Marvin Mims going to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I feel like that's who I got to take. He went in the 2nd round, going to the Eagles. Truly, it's a wide receiver 3 replacement there. I hate picking him as I say that name, but I believe in the talent that is Marvin Mims. Maybe I should be going A-Chain, but he's going to be buried in that depth chart. And again, another 3rd round running back going to the 49ers. And then you have 4th rounders. I considered Zach Kuntz going to Washington, tight end out of Old Dominion. Yep. Perfect RAS score. He was the actual one I was thinking about there, but it just feels a little bit early. Other than that, I'm legitimately looking at 5th round running backs of Zach Evans going to Denver, Sean Tucker going to Cincinnati, Abanikanda going to the Rams. 5th round running backs. Is it? Yeah.
Hard to take him that high whenever you're looking at 5th round plus, but maybe it's just the devaluation of the running back position. Maybe we should be reaching a little bit further down the board. It's just because these 3rd and 4th round running backs just did not get the landing spots that we wanted of why they got pushed down. So maybe we should have just sprinkled in some of those 5th round guys, but I don't know. I still don't really think that's the right play. Marvin Mims with your pick there, it just kind of scares me with how concentrated their offense is.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach Pascal was their wide receiver 3 last year, and I think a lot of people wouldn't even know that Zach Pascal was on the Philadelphia Eagles last year.
You are not wrong. I actually just wanted to look up and see what if Quez Watkins and Zach Pascal, if they even got enough targets to make it worthwhile. I might regret that pick already. So, yeah. So Quez Watkins had 51 targets last year, and I don't know what Pascal had. Let's say there's 70, 75 maybe. And if they all go directly to Marvin Mims, I think I'm okay with it in best ball formats. But again, I talked about it this morning in the Heisman chat. Taking those shots on wide receivers on true question marks, it's a massive gamble. So this is just one of those mocks that does not feel good. This one of those NFL mocks that just really pains me to be making these picks in the 2nd round.
Yeah, I mean, you like it up till about the 100 or the 205 range. I think that's probably where I'm looking at it. I mean, even the tight ends, I feel like we pushed a couple of those up into that early 2nd round just because of some of the landing spots weren't that great. So maybe you're looking at 2-3, 2-4 is really how deep we're looking at this one before it really gets kind of gross. And that's not what it feels like whenever you're doing a mock draft without draft capital behind it. And so you're telling people that they're only 14 deep in the 2023 class, and that doesn't seem right. But you put it behind a little bit of draft capital, some landing spots that don't shake out the right way for us, and it looks a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, and again, check out the Overreaction podcast on Destination W Radio. We talk about this entire class, the pros and cons, and really kind of dive into some of the question marks about this class because it was hyped up as being some elite, top notch class that's going to have revamp your running back room and quarterback room, and it's probably not going to be that. Like that's the reality. So definitely check that out. Yeah, man. Anything else you want to kind of dive into with this mock here?
Yeah. Just before we get out of here, I do have to correct that stat. Zach Pascal was, and it was Quez Watkins. Pascal only had like 20 targets last year.
Yeah,
but
so
still,
20 and 50. Combine that all into Marvin Mims, and I don't feel so bad about that pick. Give me 75 targets for Marvin Mims.
There you go. Every single one. There's no wide receiver, no wide receiver 4 through 6 on this roster.
Nope, don't need them. Don't need them when you got Marvin Mims. But yeah, again, patreon.com/allgas. You can find us there in the Heisman tier. Incredible fantasy football community. Destination Devy has partnered with Underdog. And if you do use promo code TFDR at sign up, you will get a deposit match up to $100 on your first deposit. And if you do deposit $10 or more, you will get 1 year access to Destination Devy's Discord. So you can chop it up, see what rosters we're building on our Underdog drafts. We're going to be dropping Underdog mocks here on this channel. So please subscribe, like these videos, check those out. But yeah, it's a great community, lots of strategy going on in there, and hands down best place in the fantasy community.
Hell yeah, can't agree with you more. We're going to be dropping the Underdog draft probably for tomorrow if you all are watching this one on the day that it drops. So make sure to go right over to that one if it is 2 days from now. If it's Friday, I guess is probably when we're going to be dropping the Underdog one. Head over to that video. Hopefully it's linked up if you are on this one, and go check out those Underdog drafts. They're a hell of a time, man. I think that's the first one that we've done a co Underdog draft. First time we've actually recorded anything on it. So let us know how you like this mock. Let us know how you like Jordan Reid's version of the mock. Let us know how you like those Underdog mocks. If you haven't done any of those yet, like I said, absolutely fantastic time of just drafting and then sit and forget it and see your payout at the end of the year. So Chase, I don't got anything else. If you do, but wrap us on out of here.
Yeah, again, make sure you like and subscribe. It helps us out a ton. Appreciate you being here and joining us here in the fantasy draft room.